Welcome to Pour the Wine, It's Rom-Com Time, where we'll sip some wine and review all things rom-com on the Hallmark Channel. I'm Amy.
And I'm Gary, and we'd like to take this moment to thank all of our listeners for listening to us on Apple or Spotify, where you can leave stars and reviews if you want to. But for those who are just now catching up with us, please tell your friends and family how great we are, all right? But now you can also watch us on YouTube over at Pour the Wine, It's Rom-Com Time. And if you hit that subscribe button, you'll never miss an episode when we drop it.
You won't miss it. Or you can send us an email to pourthewineitsromcomtime@gmail.com and let us know your thoughts about anything Hallmark related. Today we're going to be talking about Signed, Sealed, Delivered series. So if you have any thoughts or you want to share some insight with us about the Signed, Sealed, Delivered, and we know there's a lot of postables out there who have a lot of information, and we would love to hear from you. Or if you just want to tell us about anything Hallmark related, we would love to hear from you.
Yes, we would. And also, we have a goal of reaching 300 followers on Instagram. So if you don't mind taking a couple minutes out of your very important life and hitting that follow button, we'd really appreciate it.
We would really appreciate it. Yes. Well, should we get right into it?
Let's do it. Let's
do it. Today, we're going to be reviewing Signed, Sealed, Delivered, 1 in a Million. It originally aired on the Hallmark Channel on July 24th, 2016. And of course, it stars the OG Postables.
Yes.
Eric Mabius is Oliver O'Toole. Kristen Booth is Shane McInerney. Look at me. I learned how to say that.
You learned how to say it.
Crystal Lowe plays Rita Hayworth. And Jeff Gustafson plays Norman Dorman. And really quick, I think we should, it bears mentioning that if this is your first time listening to a Signed, Sealed, Delivered review from us, we started watching the series last year in 2025. Yep. We watched the series first, and then we started watching the movies in chronological order. Right.
Yep.
So
we sure did.
Yep. And we were reviewing them, and then we had a little bit of a hiatus for a minute. Life kind of lifed, and then we had a countdown to Christmas, and life just got busy. And now we are jumping back in with both feet, and we're very excited to be back reviewing the Signed, Sealed, Delivered canon.
Yeah, it's been a minute, but we're here.
Yeah, it's been a minute. We're back in it.
Yes.
Yes.
So Kevin Fair is the director on this particular movie. Kevin directed 2 episodes of Signed, Sealed, Delivered TV series and 10 of the SSD movies. He has numerous other Hallmark directing credits, including Caught by Love, The Reluctant Royal, Legend of the Lost Locket, and Our Christmas Journey. Oh, a lot, right? Martha Williamson and Brandy Yes, what you said, exactly what you said.
You gotta say correctly. She's the creator.
Williamson and Brandy Harkonnen. Is that correct? I think I pronounced that right? Of course, Martha created the SSD series, wrote it, and is the executive producer. Brandy has written the SSD series and movies alongside Martha.
Yeah.
Oh,
such a
the best buds.
Creative forces there, right? Creative forces. A few of the other cast members in this particular movie: Gregory Harrison returns as Joe O'Toole, Oliver's dad. Zach Santiago makes an appearance as Ramon, which we love. Peter Hanlon is Dudley. Lane Edwards appears as Lester, and we're going to be talking a lot about him. Yes. Amelia Ullerup shows up as Dale again. Emma Peterson is Nikki, and Nolan Gerard Funk is Graham.
Good. This is a great cast, by the way.
Yes.
Great supporting cast, too. So, shall we drop the synopsis on this one?
Maybe. If I can find it. Okay, yes, we shall drop the synopsis. A woman requests a letter to her ex be retrieved because it contains a valuable lottery ticket. Meanwhile, Oliver and Shane struggle to navigate their new romance, and Norman and Rita encounter a rough patch in their relationship.
No way.
Get out.
A rough patch? Oof. Well, this is the part of the podcast.
That was very dramatic. A rough patch. Woof.
I know, right? So if you hadn't seen this episode yet, which I would be shocked if you haven't. Well,
I mean,
no,
it's
I
been
won't
almost
be.
10 years,
We haven't
to
seen
be
it.
fair. So,
Right. We
yeah.
do drop some spoilers. So if you haven't, stop the podcast, go watch the movie, come back and listen to us and let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So let's dive into this one.
Ooh, let's dive in. Usually for the Signed Sealed Delivered movies, we they're so good that we end up talking about most of the movies. So we'll try to follow our normal format, right? Of favorite scenes, then
outline,
cheers
yeah.
and cheers. But we'll try to limit our favorite scenes to go so that we don't go too terribly long.
Yeah, long-winded are we?
Are we? Yes. Well, when it comes to Signed Sealed Delivered, we are. So
Yeah.
what did you think about this particular movie?
Well, I loved it. I mean, these
Big
movies
shock,
have
right?
such a profound, like life lesson type stories. In this particular one in a million. I mean, how many times have you heard somebody go, "Oh, you're one in a million," or Nikki winning the lottery? That's 1 in a million, right?
Right.
I mean, come on. And it also has to do with like retirement. Like a lot of
Yes.
people, if you've been with a company practically half of your life, you've created some, friendships and family. And when it's time to retire, you no longer have that. You kind of wonder what was your, what did you leave? What was your
Like
what is it?
legacy or
Legacy, right?
or
And some people might go into depression, but this was about self-love, family love, romantic love, life lessons. I just enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
What about you? What did you think?
Hated it. No, just kidding. Like we always talk about, this actually was, I think it's the funniest one we've seen so far. I mean, we
Yes.
literally laughed out loud several times throughout this because the character Lester,
Oh my God.
so good. Lane Edwards is hysterical to me
Yes, he
as
is.
Lester in
Yes,
this
he-
role. I mean, we already love, all of the postables, right?
Mhm.
Oliver, Shane, Rita, and Norman, and Joe,
Yeah.
Oliver's dad. So we kind of know and love them, and Ramon, of course.
Oh,
But when you get these characters in here, and I think Lane Edwards might have been in one of the episodes of this. I'm not 100% certain. I'm sure
mhm.
someone will correct me, and I don't have IMDb up right now, but it was so funny too. And it was quirky and it was heartfelt. And
Oh my
like
gosh.
you mentioned, every episode there are so many layers of the stories, right?
Yeah.
It's never
Yeah.
just, and you said, there's like life lessons and things. There's multiple usually,
Right.
you're
Yeah.
learning, in the writing is so good. And I know we'll get to that a little bit later again in the cheers for me, but it's just another great episode with great character development, some fun thrown in, one-liners, funny moments, heartfelt moments, moments where you're like you talked about with the retirement. You have the kind of the dichotomy of, you have this young couple just starting out, and then you have the man who works for the post office retiring. And so you kind of get all ends of the spectrum in these
Right.
movies a lot of times, and the way they push the story forward. So I just thought it was another, it won't be a shock as to how many corks I ended up reading it. But maybe we should do stamps. How many stamps would you give this one? But
Oh, you know what? That's
but
good for
anyway,
the postables. How many
I
stamps did you give it?
thoroughly enjoyed it. I
Yeah, it's
thoroughly
almost
enjoyed it.
it's almost like a lightning crashes moment, right? Because you
I know.
said that the waiter and the waitress, Nikki and
Yes.
Graham, they're starting their life, and Dudley Curley, he's ending his career, right? He's coming to an end with his career, and
He's getting ready to retire.
you get sad because you often wonder in life, what are we doing here? What is my purpose?
What is it about? What is it all about? Why am I here? Yes.
And then you throw in there Emily, right? Amelia, sorry.
Oh, Amelia Olerup, Dale as Dale.
As
Yes.
Dale. And it was just great. So you want to get into some favorite scenes?
Sure. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, you go
Do you want to
first. You
start?
go first.
Let's just go frame by frame, shall we?
I'm gonna
of
have
the
a sip
movie.
of wine while you do that.
Because I liked it all. The first one that comes, to mind for me is so, like we talked about Lester, right? He's Lester
Right.
Kimsicle,
Yes.
right? So they call Oliver, into the investigative post office room or
Right.
whatever, and what's so funny to me about that first scene is, so there's a crime and they're going to
Yeah.
investigate it. It's very serious, and it is
Very,
serious,
very
don't get
serious.
me wrong, but it's just the detective music that they played. I mean, I think
Yes.
that was part of we just started laughing out loud because when you see Lester, they have this like, I don't even know how to describe it, like 60s, 70s detective music.
Right. Right.
And Lester, of course, he's over the top, right? And to Oliver, he mentions Shane and how she's a live wire, and Oliver corrects him like, that's Ms. McInerney to you,
Yeah.
and it's just that first scene between the two, or it's not the very first scene, but it's the scene between Oliver and Lester and the group that's gonna, they've pulled Oliver in to help them investigate, right?
Right.
So that was so funny to me. I'm sorry. That was one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah.
So what about you?
One of my scenes was when Nikki goes to mail her card, and she sees Dudley out there.
Yes.
And he's kind of going through the mail. So you're thinking he's picking the mail up, right?
Right.
So they're having this conversation, and he seems kind of agitated because he seems like he wants to get out of there real quick. And Nikki's going back and forth, going, "Should I mail this? I don't know if I should mail this, and should I mail it or not?" And Dudley goes, "What good is a letter if you don't mail it?"
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And I thought that was so profound, so good. I was like, wow.
And that's right out of the gate. I guess we should say that we didn't talk about the mystery, right? So in this particular movie, a man has a mailbag out, right? It's right outside of the mailbox. He's on like a street, right? And he's got a mailbag, and like you just said, a woman comes out and she's hemming and hawing about whether or not to mail a letter. And so he says what you just said, the quote, and then she does give it to him to mail, and you think he's going to take the mail. Well, he's actually stealing the mail. Right. So she gives him the letter, but he's stealing the mail. She doesn't know that. She just thinks he's the regular mailman, and he takes the mail and off he goes. And in the meantime, we have the beginning. It goes to Oliver and Shane. Right, they're dancing at the restaurant, and there are two servers watching them. It kind of goes back a little bit, I guess, or maybe that's forward. I'm sorry, my brain, I can't remember exactly. Yeah, it goes back. And so that is where the previous movie left off. Right, from the heart, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
So that's dancing. Kind of that's setting,
They were dancing.
What'd you say? Yeah, they were dancing. So that's setting the stage, and it picks up right where that previous movie left off, which I loved. Right. So, all right. So
and
that's
and it's from the eyes of the waiter and the waitress.
Correct. Right.
So, yes. So, what was another one of your favorite scenes?
I really enjoyed, we'll talk about this a lot, like, the banter between, Shane and Oliver when they're at the dinner, and this is more about just the movie in general, right? Like they're at the date, and somebody says something about an amuse bush, and and Oliver says, "Oh, that's a millennial phenomenon." And Shane is like, "Well, they weren't having their bushes amused back in the 20th century." Just kind of funny, light things like that. And the waitress is asking them if they're on their first date because she kind of has a bet with her boyfriend. Right. She thinks they've been together a long time. And that's kind of when Oliver says, "Oh, we're just friends." And that takes Shane back. Her face completely drops because she thinks they're on a date. Right. But he's like, no. So it's like, so immediately you get that, they take steps forward in their relationship, but then they take, it's like 2 steps forward, 10 steps back, right? For the initial date. So Shane is immediately, just upset, and she's, crushed a little bit, I think, in that moment, because she really thought,
would be crushed.
And so yeah. So the banter right out of the gate, I really enjoyed, and then you kind of see where they are and what Oliver says. And
Mm-hmm.
so,
And that was kind of a cool restaurant where the waiters and the waitress sing.
yeah.
It's almost like a musical
Yeah.
at a restaurant, and I thought that was a very unique um, part of the movie.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, because
And then,
what? Go ahead.
no, what were you saying?
I was gonna say because what was interesting is each time they showed the little musical part, it kind of went along with what was happening in the
Yes.
scene,
Yes.
and
It
I thought that was
exactly did.
yes, the love song,
Mhm.
the comical where when they were dancing, they're like, "We're just friends" or whatever.
Yes. That's
So that
exactly
that
what I
was
was going to say, that the dinner show parallels, their relationship, right? It kind
yes,
of, when the two
yes,
are singing, that's exactly what I was going to say next. Cause, when the guy is singing, he's like, he wants to be her friend. And she repeats, "You want to be my friend." And it's kind of paralleling, Oliver and Shane in that moment, because he has
yes.
said they're just friends. So yes, I had that too.
It was very well
Yes.
written. That
Yes.
so what else? What else you got?
When Shane and Oliver, now they have gotten involved in the investigation of who
Hmm.
took the mail. There are clues that have been left
Right.
in the mailbox itself. And they go to see Dale, who is a police officer, right? Or so Shane thinks. So when they go to find Dale, Shane is looking around and there's all of these like wanted posters. It's
Right.
like FBI, like the real deal type of thing. And
Yes.
she's like, "Oh, like she works for the like she's,
She's
and
big time,
Oliver's
right?
kind of like, yeah." And Shane's like, "I thought I was thinking like parking tickets,
Right.
not like, like murders and serial killers and things." So I just thought I enjoyed that moment because Shane's a little bit jealous of
Yeah.
Dale,
Yeah.
because Oliver has said in the past that, did they date or he had a crush on her or something in the past? It's just someone from his,
Right. He
that he's known.
yeah, it's somebody that he's known. They didn't
Yeah.
really elaborate
They
too much
might
on it.
have. It's been a minute since we, reviewed
Yeah.
it. I'm sure someone, Postables, let us
Postables, let
know
us know.
their
Yes, please
relationship.
do.
Yeah. But they've known each other quite a while, right?
Yeah.
And so Shane's a little bit, just a little bit jealous. And now she knows that Dale is really like for
Mhm.
real,
Yeah.
and not
Yeah.
just handing out parking tickets. So that was another favorite scene of mine. What about you?
The part where they're all at the DLO, and Norman's like, "Hey, and I can't remember who he names, but she's in the passport office, and she got a new blender to make smoothies. So he's like, 'Who wants a smoothie?' And Oliver is like, 'Well, you know what? I'm kind of a yoo-hoo man, but I might try branching out, right?" So,
Oh, yeah. And they're all like,
and they're all
what?
like, "What's
Right?
going on?"
Because that's not
And,
Oliver.
and this is
Yeah.
kind of around the time where Oliver and Shane are kind of, they're not really talking to each other, but they are. And so
Because
Norman
of the
goes and
date
gets all,
fiasco, right?
yeah.
Is that right?
So
Yeah.
Norman
Not
goes and
fiasco,
gets
but
all the smoothies and comes back, but then this is when Oliver comes back from
mm,
talking to Lester, and he just goes to the refrigerator and grabs a yoo-hoo and just downs it, and
just
everybody's just kind of looking at him like,
they look at
"Oh,
him. Yes.
okay." So yeah, that was a cool,
Yes.
pretty good scene for me.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
It was
And then
fun.
I think it might be, I don't know if it's around that time that you're talking about.
Hmm.
Norman finds out that Rita dated someone before him, and he's sort of
Oh
taken
yeah.
aback by that. Which
Yes.
which that actually sort of surprised me, because I guess, Norman is just such this like innocent guy, but he's still
Hmm.
really smart and knowledgeable. But he's kind of taken aback the fact that Rita dated someone before
I
him, and he's
know.
like, what was his name, Bob?
Yes,
Because his name was Bob. And then Rita says, and I
Bobby.
loved it because Rita's like, he liked to talk, and Norman's like, well, how long did he talk to you? A month, a year? Like, he wants to know how serious they were, but that's his way
Yes.
of trying to find out. And I just loved that so much.
It was
I thought
funny
that
'cause
was so cute.
yeah, because you had these three relationships, right? Nikki and Graham. Oliver and Shane, and now Rita and Norman are all on kind of the outs with each other. You know, they were upset with each other for one reason or another.
They each have different issues, going on. Yeah.
That was a fun scene too. And then he ends, we'll get to the other part where he's kind of in a tree, which I thought was funny.
That was funny. Oh my gosh.
But
So
another one, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say the 3 clues. I found them in my notes. There was a goose, a cake topper, and a can of kidney beans.
Kidney beans.
Right. And then the whole idea was it duck versus a goose?
Right.
Right. Didn't some people call it a duck? Isn't that, if I remember that correctly? But
Shane
Oliver
called
says
it a duck.
Yeah, and but Oliver says it's a goose, and Dale's like, "That's a goose," and of course Shane kind of rolls her out like, "Oh my gosh!" Of course she agrees with Oliver. That was so funny too. All right, that was an aside. All right, go ahead. Sorry, another favorite scene.
Going back when Nikki, when she kind of thinks she gets dumped, she's walking down the street at night and she comes across a TV that's in a window, and of course it's Ramon.
Yes, we didn't mention that at the beginning.
Yes, he's a lottery announcer, right?
Of course,
the guy who sits there and lets the balls come out of the lottery machine, and you can see all the numbers coming out were Nikki's numbers.
Yes.
And at the end, she just screams and the scene ends. And I thought that was so funny because wouldn't that just be it, right?
Yeah.
A 1 in a million chance.
And when she screams, the music starts for Signed, Sealed, Delivered. That's at the very beginning. And then we do see it a little bit later again. But at the beginning, it's just such a great, I loved how they put Ramon in there. Was he the weatherman first and then he went to the lottery? Did it start off like that in the clip?
Oh, I can't remember.
Where she's watching the screen and then it goes to, well, maybe it was just the lottery, but it was just such a clever way to put Ramon in right at the beginning, right?
I know.
And he's in it later,
love his many jobs,
outside of that scene.
Yes.
So yeah, that was good.
Yeah. What about you? You got another one?
Of course, so we have the scene outside of the house. They figure out who has stolen the mail, and it is Dudley/Curly.
Right.
Or they call him Curly, but his name is Dudley. And they kind of stake out outside of his house. He's stolen the mail. He's getting ready to retire. Like his retirement party is like the next day, right? Or something. So, and I just love how Lester's like, this is the U.S. mail. Darn it. I want him fired. And, Joe is there helping too. And he's like, he's going to retire tomorrow.
You can't fire him yet.
Yeah.
He
can't fire him. Yep. He hasn't
retired yet.
Yeah. And then I like the running joke about, because Joe does show up at sort of the stakeout, it's during the day. And, of course, there's a conversation that he and Oliver have. But I like the running joke with Joe because he has gone to work for FedEx. So Lester calls him FedEx man or something.
Yes, traitor.
Like you quit the postal service and then you can't just come waltz back in here because we need you. It's just so funny. Lester is so funny in this, the character Lester, and the detective music goes off again. And then, and then when Dale shows up to this scene and Lester is in charge, right, of the scene. And he's like, "Why, hello," because she comes up and she's very attractive, right? And he's like, "Hello, you." And so then she's like, "I'm Special Agent Dale Travis," and he's like, "There's a good-looking special agent out here, Dudley," or something. Just it's so funny. It's just the one-liners that they had him say were hysterical to me.
Well, the other funny part about that was he went from Shane to Rita and then to Dale, right?
Yes. Was Rita before Dale?
I think she was.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, he did. He went from woman to woman. He's sort of, one of those kind of guys who thinks he's
so funny.
Because he had gone out with Dale or with Shane. I'm sorry. Remember they went out on a date. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. Any other favorite scenes for you?
When this was kind of when they were at, I think, Nikki comes to the post office and Norman has this map. And when he's first holding the map, to show her. He was just, the way he was
Oh, the
holding
way
it
he
was
was,
so
yes, you and
funny. I
both
can't remember how he did
yes,
it, but it's like, what is
yes.
Norman doing?
Because were they trying to track which
Which
mailboxes?
mailboxes, right? Right.
Right,
Were being hit. Yeah,
had
and
been
that was just so
stolen.
funny the way he was holding it, like it
Yeah,
was serious
yeah.
or something. But I also like when when Lester walked up to the door to get the letter, the demands from Dudley, and he's kind of walking up there like Dudley has a gun or something, and he's just
He's
like
all, yeah.
he's all creeping up there.
Well, or when Lester goes, I need to see proof of life, and Dudley's
Right.
like, you can see me, like I'm the
Yes.
proof of like you don't need proof of life. I'm talking to you right now.
Yeah, and
That was
every
so
time he
good.
went to go talk to Dudley, he kept saying the same thing, and Dudley's like, "You don't have to say that anymore. I
I
know."
know. Yeah, it's
So it
just
was
it
funny.
was so
Oh
good.
my God. So you have any more?
The scene where Dudley was upset because he didn't get the dark, what is it? What's
The
the
Dark of Night
award?
Award.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And Joe had won it for something that Dudley thought was insignificant,
Right.
right? Like he and so there's a scene towards the end where Joe and Oliver end up in the house
Hmm.
with Dudley. And that's kind of what you talked about, where Dudley, it's really sad because he's like, I just want to feel like I mattered in this world before it's all over. And
Hmm.
then Oliver has to remind him, well, when Nikki was giving you the letter, she was debating, and you said, what good is a letter if we don't mail it? You understood that putting a letter in a mailbox is like handing over your heart to a stranger. And I'm like, I
Right.
almost teared up during that
Oh, I
because,
teared up.
I mean, it's so, so true. You turn it like you put your heart in the mailbox, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
In the days people wrote letters,
Hmm. Hmm.
and, you have to be willing to take a risk for love. And then that's where you kind of talked about, that's where they show him that he got a letter from a little girl. Dudley got a letter from a little girl about his
Right.
retirement, right? And she's like, you bring
Hmm.
me all my birthday cards and letters from my grandma,
Hmm.
and Oliver's like, that one, like one of those is worth 1,000 of these awards.
Yeah.
Like one letter like that from that little girl. And it was just so profound and so good. And like you said, when you talk about retirement, you want to think that your life mattered. You want to think that you made a
Hmm.
difference and impact on people. And you don't always see it because people don't always recognize it until it's too
Right.
late.
Right.
I mean, they do say that like until you're dead or whatever. They don't
Right.
tell you. And we should really be more stewards of that and tell people when they do a good job, or tell people we appreciate their smile during the day, or things like that, because you don't often know. You hope you do, but you
Right.
don't always know or
Yeah.
realize it. I thought that was really, that was the profound scene, really,
Right.
for me.
And also part of that scene is that so they were on a timeline, because if Dudley went past his retirement hour,
Right.
then it would have been a felony. At the point, it wasn't a felony
Oh,
because he was
right,
still
right. Because
on.
he stole the mail and it was a
Right.
felony until, right, right.
It
I
wasn't a
thought, oh,
felony
because he
until
technically was a postal
he
worker.
was still a
So the
postal
mail was in
worker.
his possession. Right, right, right. So it wasn't a
And
felony until he was no longer a postal
right. And
worker.
so one of the things they had
Right.
to do was Oliver and Joe were talking about the cup, right? The Dark of Night cup. And
Yes.
Joe's like, I can't get mine, it's too far away. So Oliver volunteers his cup, right? So that's a selfish thing to do, right? He gave
Right.
up his cup knowing full well, he worked so hard to get it, but he was willing to give it up so that Dudley wouldn't get in trouble for what he was doing. So I thought that was
Yeah.
really, really a really good, gesture. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It was
all
really,
right. So you have any more?
um, just when Norman tells Rita, Rita's talked about Bob and how she sent him $50 every month because
Yeah,
he
the
said he had a animal, he worked
shelter
for the
thing. Yeah.
zoo, and and she continued to do it even after when they weren't seeing each other.
Right.
And, Norman has to tell Rita, Bob scammed you. Really, there's no
Right.
charity. and
Right.
and she says, poor Bob, he must have really needed the money.
Right.
And Norman's like, You're so great. Or I
I
forget
know,
exactly what he
it's
says
like
in
heart
that
melted,
moment.
right?
But I was like, that's just such her character, though, to
I
see the
know.
bright light. And in a little bit, I want to talk about Crystal Lowe personally,
Okay.
like when we get towards the end.
All right.
But her character is just so lovely like that, like seeing the good. But then she's like, but I'm not giving him any more money.
Right.
He must have really needed it. But that gravy train is stopping. But I just thought that was such a good way to look at it instead
Mm-hmm.
of, and we talk about that all the time. And I think we've kind of ingrained this with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's asking you for money, or if you're out and you see somebody begging for money, and, there's this notion that, well, I'm not going to give them any money because they're going
Right.
to run off and just, spend it on alcohol or whatever, or they're not going to,
Mm-hmm.
use it wisely. And
Right.
I'm always like, it's your intention that matters. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter what they
it
do
is.
with it. I mean, it might make you upset, and I'm not saying people should scam people, but I'm just, if you've given it with your heart, with the intention of helping them, that's what matters.
Right.
If they go and, buy a bottle of beer with it, maybe that's what they need in that moment, but that's really what matters, is your intention. So, and it's
Right.
kind of like that with Rita, she's kind
Right.
of like, well, he must have really needed the money, and I thought I was helping him, and there you go,
And what was so cute at the end of that scene is, Rita's like, well, do you want to go to lunch or dinner? I have $50 now.
Yeah.
And they're just
It
so
was so
cute
funny.
and innocent
The way
together,
they, yeah, the way they brought that back around was really
Yes,
funny. Yes,
it was.
yes,
It was so cute. It was a cute scene.
It was really cute. Any more favorite scenes from you?
Yeah, the one, so Oliver and Shane were kind of going back and forth throughout the whole movie.
Yes.
And when they were at the table, and this was at the beginning, Oliver had asked her how her Rose was doing. And she was kind of like, because she was told she's a friend, she was kind of upset and said, well, it died, right?
Yeah, she was like, it's dead.
Right. But,
Yeah.
in the end,
It died.
it ends up not dying, right? So, and I thought that was so cool that she had worn the rose in her hair, and she was like, do you notice anything different? And he's kind of, Oliver's like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. And then she tells him, and he's like, oh, so it did live. And she's like, yeah, it just needed some nurturing. And I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it was really great the way they kept throughout the story. The way the stories weave are just so good, and they kept going back to the date, but back to the present. Right? Is that what you were?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to see scenes from the date, and then at the end at Dudley's retirement party, right? You see, that's when I think they had like some kind of magical music in that moment that I thought was really cool. There was a part, when they're at the retirement party, and then there's a magical music for a moment, and then it goes back to whatever song was playing at the party. And that's when Oliver grabs Shane's hand. And that's, I think, the part where she shows him, she's like, do you notice something about my hair?
Yes.
Yeah. It's the first rose of what, summer. Yeah. And then at the end, when they're all kind of dancing and Rita's cutting a rug, they just show them all smiling at each other at the retirement party.
Yes.
And then even the cake where it said old postal workers don't grow old, they just lose their zip. That was on the actual cake. That was so funny to me. Good. I was like, that's so cute.
I loved it.
Yes.
Man.
Oh, we could talk about so much.
Yeah. There was so many good scenes in this.
Right.
Do you want to move on to cheers?
Sure.
Well, one of my cheers you've already talked about it was the little speech Dudley gave at the end about retiring.
Yeah.
He felt like what does he have to show for his 40 years in the post office, right? And that's when he kind of kicks the bag of mail over, and Oliver goes through it and hands him a card from the girl that read that she was sad that he was retiring because she always looked forward to him delivering the mail from her grandmother, and the favorite part of her day was giving him cookies and seeing him smile.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So I just thought that was so good. I actually teared up on that because, Dudley did a speech there, man.
Yeah. Have you ever had someone come back and tell you something that you were surprised by or didn't realize?
Probably
I don't mean to put you on
offhand.
the spot.
I
Even
know. No, I just, it's kind of funny because, and this is a side note, I was at work and I was helping somebody out with a printer issue, and a person was coming in to kind of check out of the command because they were retiring. And the sad thing about that was, you know, he kind of said, it's sad because they don't teach you what to do after you
Mm,
retire. And I
mm,
felt so bad in that moment. I'm like, oh my goodness,
yeah, yeah.
is this what we get to look
This
forward
is what
to?
we get to. Yeah. Aw.
Being
Oh,
alone. He said he'd been there for like 30 years, and he made a lot of friends, and he felt like it was family, and now he's leaving, and
yeah.
what is he going to do? And so it kind of related to this.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
but
retirement's hard for a lot of
it,
people because
it
that's,
is.
yeah, when that's your 9 to 5 or whatever the actual hours
Yeah.
are, for 40 years,
Yeah. It gave you a purpose,
Yeah,
even though
yeah.
there are days where you're like, man, I wish I could
I
retire.
know, I know,
You're damned if you do and damned if you don't,
I
right?
know.
What about
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
Do you have any?
The only thing I thought of when, when Facebook first came around and you got in touch with old friends and,
Yes.
people you knew when you were,
Mm-hmm.
5 or whatever, and they come back around. I had one of my, I grew up with her and she went to my high school, but we had lost touch, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she sent me a message and said, that she always remembered that I taught her how to read. I had no
Wow.
recollection of that. And she was
That's
always so
awesome.
thankful to me and grateful. And she was finally able to tell me that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so cool. And she gave like specific examples. Like she described my mom's car. Like we would sit in the back seat of the car and I would go over the book with her and read, she gave like
Mm-hmm.
specific, and I did not remember that at all. And I thought that was so cool. And she had become a nurse, which was because I think she had dyslexia or something. She didn't know it at the
Right.
time. And so
Right.
it was like this, it was really, really lovely to hear. I had no clue,
Wow.
I mean, I was young then too, but I just thought that that was really cool. Now, sadly, she passed away um, from COVID in
Oh,
2020. But yeah, I mean, I thought that was just really cool. You just never know,
you never
right?
know.
You
And she
never
remembered that
know
all those years.
what you do, or your kindness matters, and
Mm-hmm.
what you do matters, and you don't always know it. So
Right.
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
You know,
So for me, one of the biggest cheers, we always talk about this, the writing, the writing, the writing.
oh my
I
gosh.
don't know, the way the story weaves with the different timelines, multiple people, while
Mm-hmm.
maintaining, the integrity of the postables and the signed, sealed, delivered messages. And like you said,
Right.
there's always multiple layers to it. And we try to keep these podcasts somewhat pithy, although we do a terrible job at it with Sign Seal Deliver, because there's
Yes.
always so much to talk about, and they do such a good job, and they're just great, great, heartfelt movies.
Right.
They just make you feel good. They make you think about things, and you like the each of the four main characters. They each have sort of idiosyncrasy, and they
Yes.
they just it's so good. They each have characteristics that you love and that aren't so great, but you love them. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
the way they are together, the chemistry between the four of them is
Mm-hmm.
always so, so great. So that's always my biggest cheer. And
Yeah,
this one was super funny. I
it
mean,
was.
we laughed out loud. I enjoyed this thoroughly. I enjoy all of them, but it was really actually funny. So kind of quirky funny, but I
Yeah.
really enjoyed that. And, we all need the escape these days. So
Yeah.
any
And
other cheers from you?
well, I kind of liked how Nikki and Graham's relationship came back around because,
Yeah,
sometimes you don't always hear the full conversation that's going on. So you
right.
walk away assuming that something terrible was said about you. And then you go through all of this heartache for however long, only to find out that if you just would have stayed and listened a little bit longer, it would have been okay. And Graham,
Hmm.
they had plans, him and Nikki, to go to New York and, be on Broadway. And unfortunately, Graham's mother ran into some issues. So he was going to tell Nikki to go by herself because he had to stay and help his mom. Well, because she had won the lottery, she could help him out. And I thought that was so cool. And he was like, no, I love you. I was wondering what happened. I love you. So,
and she thought he was leaving.
Right, for another person. Yeah. So I thought that was good. I'm glad they brought that back around. So,
yeah. Well,
they
do. They bring it back.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the whole thing is a cheer, really. Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So
Did
what
you have
about
any
jeers?
I didn't have any.
I had 0 jeers.
No notes.
0.
No notes.
Although I wish Oliver would have had a slushie or whatever.
Or a shake or whatever it was.
Whatever it was, yeah. A smoothie.
Yeah.
No, I didn't have any jeers.
All right. So before we wrap it up, well, how many? We'll do the corks. How many corks would you give this one?
Oh, 5. Definitely 5.
5. Same.
Yep.
I don't think that's any surprise to anyone.
The writing and directing and the acting and everybody behind the scenes, kudos to you.
Spot on.
Yep.
I have to mention before we get off, and I meant to mention this at the beginning, and we kind of got rolling. Let's talk about Crystal Lowe for a little bit. She's been, she of course plays Rita, and she was diagnosed with breast cancer last year. And if you don't follow her on Instagram, you can go to Instagram. She has been posting her entire journey, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it on Instagram. I think she just finished her chemo, if I'm not mistaken, probably maybe has some surgeries ahead, but it's really brave to do that. And I mean, I'm a cancer survivor, and I know when we first saw it, you and I, I didn't have breast cancer. I had rectal cancer, so I'm a colon cancer survivor, but, you feel it, it doesn't matter where you are in it. It sucks. And to share your journey and show what she went through, I think was incredibly brave, incredibly strong, and being a survivor myself, it's your only choice. You don't really have a choice. You just do it because you want to live. But it's true. She didn't have to share it. She didn't have to. She had to, her hair, she lost her hair and everything, but she's just beautiful inside and out. And, we really wish her the best moving forward with what she's doing and what she still has to go through. So sending our love
with her,
and prayers. And, thank you, Crystal, for just, bringing Rita to life, which we have, we're late to the party, but we have just thoroughly enjoyed her. It. Also, just and the brightness and light that she brings to each character, I believe, comes from Crystal herself, because she seems that way.
And it's funny because I've missed watching these, and because it's just a great escape for me.
Yeah.
Because I just love these kind of characters.
Yeah.
And every time we watch it, it's like, that hour and 20-30 minutes is like, it's an escape for me. So I really enjoy it.
And then I have to mention too that Kristen Booth, who plays Shane, she ended up with basal cell carcinoma, which is skin cancer. And I believe she doesn't have to go through any treatment. I think they were able to extract, they take it out, and then they get good margins. So you can follow her also. I think that was more recent. I think it was in 2025 also, but it was after Crystal's. So go follow them, send them,
give them
good
support,
vibes, good wishes, and all that jazz. So I just wanted to mention that. I didn't want to.
No.
Because I think the last time we did it was before any of that came out.
Yeah.
Before
that was our last review.
So
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Well,
all right.
Is that a wrap?
That's a wrap.
Well, guys, thanks for listening and now also watching.
And follow us wherever you said and. I'm off my game. Sorry. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts and on social media so you don't miss a thing. Until next time, cheers.